good evening and warm welcome to all the participants in today's webinar on Interactive Read-Alouds. This is the first webinar conducted by SLA India for the year 2023. Before we start the webinar, a quick look into SLA India. School Library Association India started its journey under the leadership training program of International Federation of Library Association, Netherlands in 2017. Its vision and motto. Our vision is to serve as a national platform and voice to empower, unite, enrich, Indian school library professionals as ambassadors of knowledge society. And vision is to support, develop, advocate, and promote school library systems and to facilitate, upgrade, and empower professional development of school librarians in collaboration with all stakeholders. So, School Library Association is affiliated to International Association of School Librarianship, and in the year 2020, during the lockdown, SLA India started conducting webinars for school librarians across India in order to help librarians manage virtual library classes using different tools and techniques. SLA India started PLC sessions, that is Professional Learning Circle for school librarians. SLA India has conducted online competitions for students during the lockdown as well. So now I welcome Ms. Sarita to introduce our host for today's session. Over to you, ma'am.
A warm good evening to all. Thank you for joining us today. We are excited to have a session after a long time. This will be an opportunity for us to learn from each other and grow together. I am Sarita MR, a librarian of KV Kaduthuruthi in Kerala. Topic of today's session is Interactive Read-Alouds. On this session, I am privileged to welcome Ms. Haripriya Bathula, our resource person, Madam Madhu Bhargava, President SLA, Mr. S.L. Faisal, General Secretary SLA, and all our SLA members. Now let me introduce Ms. Haripriya Bathula. We can also call her Hari. She is a creative person by nature who believes that a book is a window to the world. She is the founder of Hyderabad's best and award-winning library for children called The Bookshelf, aiming to raise readers and spread the joy of reading. She manages the library, curates the books, and guides the children to become independent readers. She loves picture books. She is also a professional storyteller and has shared stories at Lit Fest, schools, libraries, NGOs, community spaces, and publishing houses, under the trees, stars, and the skies. She has also trained teachers across India on the importance of storytelling in the classroom. Once again, I welcome Ms. Haripriya and request her to take over the session. Ma'am, please.
Hello everyone. I hope I'm audible and clear. Somebody please give me a thumbs up. So I'm really delighted to meet so many librarians at one place. Otherwise, we all have very lonely lives. Having said that, all superheroes are at one place, which is fantastic on a Saturday evening. So, what I do might be a very small part of what you all have been doing for years now. And I'm going to share a few tidbits of how my journey has been and how I've been doing read aloud sessions in the library. So, I would love to hear your experiences as well. So, let's begin. I'm going to share a small presentation that will help us understand what I've been doing and also about read alouds. Can somebody tell me if you can see the screen?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's get going. So today's topic is interactive read alouds. Thank you, ma'am, for introducing me. I run this little library called the Bookshelf in Hyderabad, and I started this journey in 2016 with around 1500 books. I did my MS in biotechnology from National University of Singapore, and when I moved back to India, I started searching for libraries, and I didn't find any which were close to my place. And at the same time, my nephew, who was in eighth grades, I found him hooked to video games, and this wasn't the kid I raised him when he was young. So when I asked him, how come you are not reading any books when there are so many in the house? His reply astounded me. He said, nobody told me that I can read those. I'm allowed to read those. I thought those are all meant for adults. And then I realized that not only providing access to books, but also guiding children about what they can read and discover is very, very important. At the same time, my niece was just 2.5 years old, and we would have a stack of picture books every day on the bed. Every day, she would make me read one after the other until I would, just dozed off. And she would wake me up and say, in Telugu, she would say, "నువ్వు అన్ని తప్పు తప్పులు చదువుతున్నావు." That means she would say that you're reading wrong, you're just blabbering nonsense. So she would wake me up and do that. So over a period of time, I learned what Indian children's literature is, who all are publishing books. What is literature, Indian literature, children's literature, and what are picture books, how to read to children. So many things children have taught me over the years. I had no idea about books per se, but every time we had a challenge, children came up with beautiful solutions. So these are the pictures that belonged when we started in 2016. So every day when I would walk into the library, I would feel a little sad because this would be only 1/1000th part of a library, what I experienced when I was studying in Singapore. But still, I was very happy to be among books. Children would walk in, they would borrow books, and parents would read aloud to them. Children would discover characters, they would find some of them funny, intriguing. They would also discuss about how the book could have been different, what they liked about a book, and what they didn't like about in a book. So we would source books from different places. And one of the things that I really loved was doing a read aloud session every Sunday in the open. So the library is in a very small space. It's a small, there are two rooms of 11 by 11 feet with books stacked. And on one day, we had 25 registrations for a read aloud sessions, and I was clueless as to, I wondered how we are going to fit in that room. So one of the kids said, "Why don't we just go out and sit in the open?" So we grabbed all the mats and chairs and whatever was available, and that's how our read aloud sessions in the open began, under the sky, under a mango tree. So every time, here also we would have a stack of books again, and we would read one book after the other, discuss the books, and each of us would come up with a different perspective about the book. um, After the read aloud session, we would discuss the books. We would also do some book related activities, uh, some of them inside the library, and but we would prefer to sit outside in the open and read aloud the books. After the session, children would go back home. Some of them might would write a comic, and sometimes children would paint on their t-shirts. Mothers would call me and scream at me, and I would be smirking. But overall, we are, and we were very, very happy discovering literature. Apart from reading aloud, we would also do storytelling. I also loved making puppets. And here I was performing at Hyderabad Literature Festival in 2020, and also a shadow puppetry session in 2017. So I read aloud to, even if it is one kid, if it is a group of kids, and to children in an assembly also. So all I need is a few children and a book, and I start off reading aloud. So what exactly is an interactive read aloud is? So Fountas and Pinnell, they defined interactive read aloud as reading aloud to a whole group instructional context in which we read aloud a selected text to a whole class, and occasionally and selectively pausing for conversation. So we are reading aloud and we are also looking at the pictures, talking about what we understand from the pictures and also from the text. So when we look at the structure of a read aloud session, what it would look like, first we would select a book. So as a librarian, I would familiarize with the book. I introduce the book to the children. Sometimes I also have a brief discussion that would slowly lead to the book, followed by reading aloud the book, and that is followed by a discussion. So today we are going to read aloud a small, simple book called The Carrot Seed, which is a story written by Ruth Cross and the pictures by Crockett Johnson. So this is the story of a little boy, and it every book, as we all know, has a subtle meaning and learning. Let's look at what this book is about. A little boy planted a carrot seed. His mother said, I'm afraid it won't come up. His father said, I'm afraid it won't come up. Hmm. And his big brother said, it won't come up. Every day, the little boy pulled up the weeds around the seed and sprinkled the ground with water. So, despite all of them saying that it won't come up, he kept watering the seed and sprinkling the ground with water.
I think there is some network issue.
Connection end of it seems.
Maybe.
Yeah, I just posted it to her the message. So maybe we'll wait for a few minutes.
Thank you, sir.
I think she left the meeting.
She will join. Sorry for the technical glitches. Ma'am will be joining, please.
I am sorry, guys.
It's
Can
It's
okay.
okay.
you?
It's okay.
It's okay.
Absolutely okay.
Technical glitch happens.
Okay, so shall I go back to
Yeah,
which point?
the carrot.
Yes,
The carrot seed.
I'm going to share the PPT again. Okay, you can see the PPT, right?
Yeah, it's visible. It's visible.
Okay. So every day the boy continued to try. He would water the seeds and he would pick all the weeds he would pull the weeds that are there around, but nothing came up. And he waited with a lot of patience, and everyone around him kept saying that it wouldn't grow. And he continued to wait with a lot of patience. And then one day, a carrot came up, just as the little boy had known it would. So when I read aloud this book on during a session, we had children across different age groups, and a child who was just 6 years old said, "This is a story about how a seed grows into a plant." And there was also a 12-year-old who said, Akka, no matter what the world says, if we believe in something, we should continue to pursue it. So this was also a lesson for me, where a 12-year-old is telling a 35-year-old not to give up on working for the library. So this is something I really loved. And there's another story that I really loved sharing with the children, and this one is called Amachi's Amazing Machines. And this one is written by Raji Vipe, and illustrations are also by Raji Vipe. As we all can see, here there is a rock star grandmother. She has a toolkit around her waist, and there is a little boy, her grandson Suraj. So this book has one line in every page, and the illustrations speak volumes about what the story is about. There is so much to discuss in every page. Here we can see the boy is washing his hands in the basin, and the water is directed towards the sapling. So they are conserving water. Amachi, Amachi, could we make coconut barfi today? Suraj asked his grandmother. Please. So we can also see the rainwater harvesting here, and Amachi is collecting the water in a bottle. Only if we make it. Replied Amachi. So, if you help me make it. So, she wanted the grandson to help her. So, this is a beautiful story about the bonding between the grandmother and Suraj. And I really, as a science student, I had never come across STEM books. So this is my first introduction to a book that is talking about simple machines. I was really astounded because here we have a pulley, there's an inclined plane, and a story of a grandmother and her grandson. She reminded me so much of my grandmother. And ready, shouted Suraj. Ready, said Amachi. Now she's sitting on a swing which is connected to a pulley, and Suraj is going to rotate the wheel and axle on the other end. Let's see what happens. So, Amachi, Suraj, he rotates the wheel and axle. Amachi goes up the coconut tree, and we'll only pick the ripe ones, okay? The ones that are brown all over. Watch out! Here they come! Whoosh! Swamp! So Amachi is picking the coconuts, and she's rolling them down the sari, which is acting like an inclined plane. So it's a fantastic representation of everyday science. And let's see, now to get the husk off. So this is the dehusking machine, and Suraj's stomach went. Amachi giggled. Then we crack the shell like this. Khatak. So the sounds that we make during everyday life are also represented here. So she's using a knife, and Suraj is using a coconut grater to grate the coconut. Amachi is busy at the back. She's cooking. And what do? They toss it in a pan with all the ingredients. It smells so good, Amachi. Now, Suraj, every time I read the story, my mouth is already watering. So I would want to have coconut burfi after the session, perhaps. And they both are making coconut burfi here. And then we pour it all out onto a tray. Wait for it to cool, Baba. Now, Suraj is very, very eager. It is still hot, so they transfer it to a tray. It cools down, and they cut it into small pieces using a knife. So, and the coconut barfi is ready. Yum, yum, yum. So after we read this story, we had a very small activity where I had gathered simple material, trash material in the house, and children and parents, we all got together and decided that we would make some small, simple machine in the library itself. So this picture at the end of the book gives a brief description of what simple machines are. And I also recollected one of the songs that we learnt when I was learning this concept in school, which reads, when we learn simple machines, there are three important parts in a simple machine. One is the fulcrum, there is load and effort. So the first class lever is fulcrum in the middle, load and effort on either side. So there's a song and it goes like this: fulcrum in the middle, first class lever, load and effort on either side. So I sang this song and this helped children remember the levers very well. So we also discussed other simple machines and how these are applied in daily life. So the picture here, as you can see on the left, I had gathered all the material. There's glue, there's a toilet paper roll, there's a stand, there's thread, scissors, there's a screwdriver, and on the right, children made this is the one that has there's a box here that is a well. Children made a wheel and axle, and they pulled water from the well. There's another one where they made the clothes pulley where you can dry clothes. So there were two bobbins from the sewing machine which they had put on either side, and so the clothes drying thread is over here. So it was very interesting because children could apply what we read in the book. And at the end of the session, when I asked children, the younger lot gave me examples of what each simple machine that they saw around the house, while the older ones gave me the scientific application, like what part it would represent. There's another book that I loved reading, and this one is The Gruffalo by Julia Donaldson. And just 3 years ago, the book turned 20 years, and I read aloud the story to lots of children in different schools. And the story goes like this: a mouse took a stroll through the deep, dark wood. A fox saw the mouse, and the mouse looked good. Where are you going to, little brown mouse? Come and have lunch in my underground house. It's terribly kind of you, Fox, but no, I'm going to have lunch with a Gruffalo. Gruffalo? What's a Gruffalo? A Gruffalo? Why, didn't you know? He has terrible tusks, terrible claws, and terrible teeth in his terrible jaws. Where are you meeting him? Here by these rocks, and his favorite food is a roasted fox. So, this story is about a mouse who meets animals in the forest and he wants to escape them. And the mouse is very smart and he creates a creature called Gruffalo. And every time he meets an animal in the forest, he meets a fox, an owl, and also a snake. And every time he meets these animals, he describes the Gruffalo. So sometimes these texts we can also sing them out. And so the song would go like this: a mouse took a stroll through the deep dark wood. A fox saw the mouse, and the mouse looked good. Where are you going to, little brown mouse? Come and have lunch in my underground house. It's kind of you, fox, but no, I'm gonna have lunch with a Gruffalo. Gruffalo? What's a Gruffalo? A Gruffalo, didn't you know? He has terrible tusks and terrible claws, terrible teeth in his terrible jaws. Where are you meeting him? Oh, here by these rocks, and his favorite food is a roasted fox. Roasted fox, I'm off, the fox said. Bye, little mouse. And away he sped. Silly fox, doesn't he know there's no such a thing as a Gruffalo? So this is how first I would read aloud the story followed by singing. Not every time singing works because sometimes children would tell me not to sing because I'm so bad at it. But still, so when we look at what a read aloud session is, so I didn't want it to be a presentation. Rather, I wanted to share a few books that I have read aloud in the library. So these are some things that you all are already aware of. So the benefits of a read aloud session would be to improve the listening and attention span, listening skills and attention span, and build vocabulary and comprehension, improve fluency, and enhance imagination, thinking, and creativity. Also foster communication. A great way to introduce concepts. Uh, it promotes discussion and reflection of topics, and also gives a sense of the world. So some of the difficult topics that we might find it hard to have a conversation about, we can use picture books, read aloud to children, and use them as a starting point to have a conversation with children. So all was well in the library until 2020. We won the Kid Stop Press Award for the best library in Hyderabad. Very excited in February 2020 about it. And March 2020, something really unexpected happened in all our lives, and we all got connected through Zoom. So all the children told me that I should deliver books like Luis Soriano from Biblioburo. We had read aloud the story in the library. I couldn't do this because I didn't find donkeys. Having said that, we discovered Zoom and we all started meeting online. So there are also advantages of an online session because we can share a lot of resources on these online platforms. Children would look forward to these sessions and they would log in at least 15 minutes before the session because there were so many conversations which we would have around books. At the same During the same year, I almost contemplated on shutting closing the library because there were other libraries and bookstores that were shutting down in Hyderabad. But again, when I had doubts, I reached out to children, and the children came across, gave me some fantastic solutions, and the library is still going on good. So this is my story. I hope you all loved listening, and I would like to hear your viewpoints about interactive read aloud and how you guys do it in the libraries.
So, Hari, I have a question. So, it's what age group children you have in your library that they come for this kind of?
Okay, the youngest is 4 months old, and the children who began their journey 6 years ago have just written their boards now. So they are waiting to visit the library again, and I'm also waiting to see them tomorrow. And these are children 16 years old. So we have around 10,000 books now. So the journey from 1,500 to 10,000 books has been uh, a bumpy ride, yet it's been very fulfilling. And it's a self-sustaining library. So whatever is collected in the form of membership fee is used to buy new books. So we do not take book donations. So we actively buy books. Yeah.
And do you change your stories looking at the age group of the students, or you look at the registrations and the age group accordingly? Because
Uh,
age matters a lot, type of story you would narrate.
yes, that also happens. So what happens is we have a stack of books all the time, and irrespective of the age, even a seventh grade kid would walk into the library and first have a look at the Peppa Pig books and then choose their books. So no matter how old they are, they would still want to go back to the
It
Charlie
works.
Lolas or the Gajapati Kulapati they have read. But coming back to your question, uh, there's a subtle line where there's a boundary that I need to be very careful about when we are talking about difficult topics. And here, when we are sitting in a group, the session will have a child who is 6 year old, and there is also a child who is 12-year old, and there is also a grandparent who is sitting. So each of us would add to the understand learnings from the book. So each of us would take back what we would want to. So I wouldn't want to restrict a read aloud session, but in a school setup, every book, when we are addressing different age groups children, it is different the way we address. Also, the story follow-up activities that we do, I would prefer to do drawing for the younger children, maybe discuss character development or what they think about the characters, or how the ending of the story could be from their point of view for older children. In
Mm.
the library, we never differentiated because we had a diverse group of children who joined. But in a school setup, I think we can work around having different conversations for different
Mm.
age groups. Yeah.
Thank you, Hari. It was lovely. It was wonderful depiction of what you do. Very interesting
Thank you, ma'am.
and very inspiring as well.
So I would like to thank Arun sir for making me introduced to this group. So every time I would have some challenge, the immediate person I would reach out to is Arun sir. I would cry for a bit and he would say, "You need to keep going on no matter what."
Hari, I'm also in Hyderabad.
Hi, ma'am,
So,
fantastic. I think we should connect.
yes, we will,
So
surely.
now I can reach out to you, and every time I have doubts, I should talk to you.
It would be mutual, right? You're doing such a good job. I'll invite you here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anyone else has any questions or any queries to ask? You may please come forward.
Where is this put up in Hyderabad?
Ma'am, we are located at Durgabai Deshmukh Colony near Usmania University.
Nalakunta.
Yes, ma'am. So I would like to show some of the books that I have read aloud to the children. One of the my favorite books is The Story of a Mango. So this is published by National Book Trust, and this is a wordless picture book. So the conversations go on and on and on. So this the story extends even after this. So I really love this book. When we talk about books about inclusion, one of the books that I really love is When Adil Speaks, Word Stands. This is also beautiful. There's another book called Kneel on Wheels. There are lots of Indian children's picture books when we talk about inclusion. There's another book that I loved reading is Where's That Cat? So there's a little girl called Minnie, and she's lost her cat Puni, and she's searching for her cat. I love this book a lot. Um, of course, our favorites, Gajapati Kulapati, always evoking laughter. And there's also another book. This is written by Sharda Kolur, and this one is called A Kite Called Korika. It is the relationship between siblings. It is about fears, the dreams that we have. So when I had read aloud this session, I almost teared up because this is very, very close to my life. And there are lots of books that are published by Pratham under the STEM category, and this one is called How Does Toothpaste Get into a Tube? So we all had a great time reading aloud this book. And we read aloud Amachi's Amazing Machines. So that is followed by Amachi's Incredible Investigation. So they are super sleuths now. They are finding something in the house. So she's kind of become a detective now. Another book that we loved reading is Handa's Surprise. So, this is set in Africa, and this little girl is visiting her friend Akeyo, and she's taking fruits to her friend. And another book that we loved reading during summer is The Good Indian Child's Guides to Eating Mangoes. This is a laughter ride. So parents also laugh a lot, and everybody would want to keep their mango eating style a secret because they feel that it is atrocious. But when we are sitting around and reading aloud this book, they all share that, very shamelessly, that is the kind of mango eating person they are. So when we are sitting around and reading aloud, there are no inhibitions, and we all share what we feel. And I thoroughly loved doing those read aloud sessions. I'm hoping to continue those sessions in the library in the days to come. And yeah, any more suggestions of how better I could do a session from all of you would be wonderful.
Hari, do share some of the publishers. One is NBT you shared,
There's
others
another,
are
Tulika I
Pratham,
shared,
Tulika. Okay.
Tulika
Pratham
and
book,
Katha, I think Katha you've shared.
Pratham also, ma'am.
Tulika,
Pratham story
Kata,
weavers.
Thara,
Story
Pratham,
weavers. Pratham story weavers.
yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
Excuse me, ma'am, Haripriya. Ma'am, I am from Bhavan Vidyalaya, Panchkula. I just wanted to ask you, like, after 4 years, I would be retiring. I'm a librarian there also. So I just wanted to start like you, what you are doing for the children, read aloud. How would it be? How could I start? Like,
You just gather a bunch of children, carry a few books, and start off.
okay.
Okay, so it would be, I'll share a small interesting. So in 2013, Pratham Books Championships, I signed up for that, and they sent me a book. A book was delivered to home, to my house. It's a beautiful thing because nobody gifts books to you, so they were sending you a book home. So I took the book to the nearest park and I read aloud a book. So that's how my Pratham Books Championship started. And last year was my 10th year as a champion. So 10 years, what all books I read. So we read those books together, and it's a very surreal moment. So please don't have any doubts. Just start off.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, I was going through their website, I think day before yesterday. Their campaign is again on that you take a pledge
Yes, ma'am.
that you will read out to these many people. That
Now
kind
we
of
have
thing is
come up
going
with
on.
a reading program, story viewers. Pratham has come up with one of the reading programs for World Storytelling Day as well. So you can take the initiative as librarians. You can ask your children to join that program and start reading, and you can share it on your social media so that Pratham comes to know, and they also tag the schools. And
Hmm.
Hello, Haripriya.
Hello,
I,
ma'am.
I
I've heard so much about you from Arun sir. It's been a dream to meet you.
not at all, not at all. He exaggerates a lot. So
No, I don't think he
no,
exaggerates. He's
I
speaking the
wanted
truth.
to say that there were a couple of things which really struck me about how you're doing this. One is you have built a family of readers actually, and the way the children are helping you, advising you, and you are open to that. I think that's very significant. I really like that because that's how I have also functioned. And secondly, I wanted to ask the autonomy that they have with you is amazing. Does that autonomy also stretch to selection of books, or do you generally do the selection yourself?
I don't select the books, ma'am, at all. So
Oh,
the agency is with the child.
okay.
But I still see it's the books are packed, arranged in a packed fashion, so they cannot see the cover pages, the cover of the titles. So I still introduce them to new authors,
Right.
so that they decide for themselves. And I'm okay if they do not like a book and would want to revisit the book at a later stage. For example, just last week, there was I introduced the Feluda comics by Subhadra Sen Gupta to one of the kids. So the kid finished reading the comics, and then I introduced the chapter books of Feluda to the child. The child finished reading all the 4 copies that we have. Now he excitedly borrowed the big volume of the stories. So but I still introduce and them to new authors,
Yeah.
but it is the child decides.
Right. So, no, that's excellent. I meant actually a purchase of books that you, because your collection is so unique, you must be doing that background research and work and selection, right?
Yes, ma'am. I read a lot. I follow different
Right.
like bookstores across the country. I reach out to Funky Rainbow. I
Mm.
listen to their discussions about the books,
Yes. Yes.
and I make a big list of books. The list keeps on growing all the time.
Right, right. Very good.
and the space in the library is becoming lesser and lesser. Yes, so I read a lot of book blogs also. I read reviews that are written by the readers, and that's how I make a list of books that I would want to buy. And also, children come up with new books that they discuss in school. They listen to what other children are reading. They come back and tell me. Some of the schools always update their libraries, so they come and tell me that this is the new book that our school library has purchased, and we also need to get it for our library. So that's how I update the books in the library.
Excellent, because this kind of background work we need to do as librarians for children, isn't it? So that we can be sure that not only are they getting the best of literature, but also things which you have also looked at.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I just had one last question. Have you tried reaching out to different strata of society, children from different strata of society, and in
Ma'am,
any other language?
yeah, ma'am, what I would do is I would take these books both in English, and some of the books are also available in Telugu and Hindi. So I would take these books to government schools, and I would speak to the principal and conduct read aloud sessions in the schools. This was before COVID. Post COVID, I realized that this is not a long term thing that I can carry forward. So I started working in a school as a student counselor. So the library is functioning as usual, and my self sustenance is going on through my work as a student counselor. Yeah.
Because I
But
was
I
just
really
thinking,
miss, but I really miss reading aloud books to those children.
right, because you were saying that you do your sessions sometimes outdoors, and I was imagining that there would be children, other children passing by who may actually want to join.
Yes, we
Just
would.
thought,
When we did that in a park, there is anybody could just join the session,
right,
and the conversation is not just in English.
correct.
It would be in Telugu and Hindi also sometimes. I love speaking in Hindi, and sometimes children would also say new words in Marathi and Kannada also. So it's an open conversation, and there is no restriction per se.
Thank you. That's so nice to hear that you are so inclusive.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
My question is for class 10th, as Madhu madam had actually told, how do you decide what book to read to the different ages? Like class 10, it's very difficult to draw the attention towards the read aloud sessions. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, ma'am. What you say is true. Recently, I had read this book. It was during the lockdown, and class 10 children had joined. Their perspective about the book, because it was talking about death, but they still listen to the story. Yes. And so at that point, what we did was, I told them that we can have the discussion a little later. And so we closed the session because there were also younger children. And then we again joined back, and then they shared their experiences around this topic. So it is a sensitive topic, and here, but we are talking about children in from the library, but in a school setup the scenario might be different. So maybe Arun sir or Faisal sir or anybody might want to share their experience in a school scenario.
No, but I don't know. I
No,
always had. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, please, ma'am, continue.
I just find that their choices are completely, different from, like, I don't know if they'll be really something.
Generally, what I have observed in my programs, that any cohort of students, if they're sitting together and your story is generic in nature, everyone understands it. But if you it is particularly addressing very younger levels, then of course middle school level students, they start losing interest in that. They start yawning, they start talking, that kind of a thing happens. So you really have to be a little careful in your selection. That's very important.
Also, the book discussion that we do during the read alouds, as a facilitator, maybe I wouldn't want to discuss a lot, so that we read the entire story and then bring in them into the discussion. And probably that is what I would want, because I would want to hear them out. I would want to listen to their point of view, which is very, very important. That is what probably I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would normally, what I do is, if I want to encourage the students to read a certain book, say, for example, there is a book called Hachette, Gary Paulson. It's a very interesting book for, say, middle school students, 11 to 14 years. So I start the story in a very, very interesting manner. And then after reaching the climax, very close to it, I drop it. Okay, now now is then they are curious, where is that book? Do we have more copies? Slightly this kind of age group, then these kind of things work. But your sessions is something very unique, that you're doing it for, all together for the society people. It's a very good, many ideas are coming to me listening to you, that it's a very good idea for a society where say there are 400, 500 flats there, and the children in the evenings, you find them in the parks over there. Sometimes they don't know what to do, so they're sitting. This kind of a thing is very useful, or it could be a very good idea.
Yes, I'm just curious to know about how you are assessing these things. For example, if you are having a read aloud session, okay, so do you have any records of what kind of feedback or anything else is like that?
Feedback, children write some beautiful poems. Okay, and it need not be always. Some of the parents, after the children go back home, they talk about what they heard during the session. They talk about it, they discuss it with their parents, and the parents send me a message. And when we are always, there need not be an activity following the session. We can just discuss the book and imbibe whatever we can and go back home. When we talk about assessment, are we talking about the big, pages that are filled with columns? Are we ticking? Did the child understand something? Did the child
No,
learn?
no. As you had said, book talks or book discussion, that can be a part of a feedback.
Yes.
Am I correct?
So parents send me a message. Parents send me a message.
See some written formal things. Okay, informally, just like how they are getting all these things, communicating with the parents and especially connecting with society. How you are
Yes.
reaching out to them.
Yes. Sir, once actually what happened, one of the kids brought his pet hamster to the library. So there were a bunch of other children. After the read aloud session, I kept getting calls from mothers. So now the child wants me to buy a pet hamster. Who is going to take care of the pet hamster? Hari, you are going to take care of the pet hamster. There was another time where I asked very casually. During my summers when I was a child, I would spend a lot of time with my grandmother making brooms from coconut leaves. So I casually asked the children, "Do you know from where we get the brooms?" The children said, "We don't know." And I told them that it is from a coconut tree. One of the kids exclaimed and said, "How are we supposed to know?" So it's a very, very important, hard hitting reply that I got. So I immediately reached out to a few people who conduct these tree walks in the community, and we organized a tree walk for the children. So we went around identifying trees in the locality, and right now Hyderabad, and not just Hyderabad, there are pink, the tabubia trees, the plumerias, all of them are blooming. So it's a wonderful time to go and do a tree walk. Yeah, I think it's a good thing. So it is not restricted to the library. So the learning is beyond the library, is what I would say. And once one of the kids had read a book about rock formations in the city of Hyderabad and surrounding places. So we all decided and we went and visited this Bongir fort, which is situated on a monolithic rock. So these are very, very small things that I did within my limits. And so the discussion is beyond the book after the session also.
Hari, these are not the small things, actually.
Absolutely, these are
It's
not the
a
small things.
very
We
big
need
thing to the
to,
society you are
yeah.
doing.
And working with the school, we people, we have so many things to think of when we are taking kids anywhere out. So many, permissions and stuff like that. You are
I
your own
understand.
boss, so you take the decision and just take them.
I think,
Thank you so much.
Haripriya, I just wanted to add to what Faisal asked you. I think that is an important question because in listening to you over this past 45 minutes, we have heard so many examples and anecdotes that you have shared, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So, just so that it doesn't remain anecdotal or just from your personal memory, I think he may be able to help you to form some kind of
Yeah.
spreadsheet that you can actually begin to put it down because then what you have done can be, you know, expanded and duplicated in other places rather than our listening to you and saying, oh, what a nice idea, and I'll do it. But it'll become a little more.
Also, it serves as a reference point for me to go
Absolutely.
back.
Absolutely.
I will look at it that way.
I think that is an important point to raise.
Faisal, can we take it to social media from, I mean, support it back it because I'm finding it very amazing thing that she's doing.
Do you have a website?
No, ma'am, we don't have
No,
a
she has
website.
a
It's a
FB
Google
page.
website. I'm a very,
FB page,
I'm a
Facebook
very
page.
stingy person. I only invest in buying books and nothing else.
Hari, will come back to you. We'll come back to you. Yeah.
Yeah, I like
But
to visit your
presently,
place sometime.
big thank you.
I stay in Hyderabad. I keep going
Great.
to Nalakonta. I'll try and visit your place. Your place is what, like, what's the name or whatever?
It's called the
Can you
bookshelf,
just
ma'am.
Durgabai Deshmukh Colony, you said?
Yes, ma'am. There's a peacock in the background.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
it's my background. Yeah, there's a peacock. Yes. There's a beautiful place where I stay. There are hundreds of peacocks here.
There must be snakes also.
Sorry.
Snakes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, there are snakes also.
That's why there are peacocks. So it is in the food chain. If we notice, the peacocks actually devour the snakes.
Yes, we have lots of bats there and peacocks and birds, like, those species of birds. It's a very good place to come over. I
Wow.
invite all Hyderabad people, make a program and join me someday.
And we can do a read aloud session at your place.
Sure, really. I'm
Where
going
is
to get
this?
in touch with
KBR
you.
Park,
Yes, soon.
Close to KBR Park.
No, she stays near in Maheshwaram, outskirts of city.
It's outskirts of city, yes.
Suggestion is that always keep writing about all these things also, then we will know about what we are doing, and even we can replicate all these things in our schools and in our libraries.
Yes, sir. I will reach out to you, and so that every time I do a session, I make a nice, discussion about what worked, what didn't, how the session went, what all children added to the session. All that, if I can write and I can share it with you, and all of you can use it, Similarly, what all you guys are doing, please share it with me, and I can do it and use it in my own way here in the library.
Even you can be a
Sure.
member of a school library association and be a part of this.
Yes,
This great
I am
project.
already a member now, so anything else I can do for you guys. I've been telling stories to children for almost like 10 years now. I love making puppets from trash. So if you want
Oh,
me to
well.
share that knowledge, I would love to share with all of you. So puppets from trash is something I love doing. My parents are also screaming that I'm accumulated enough trash in the house. But it's very interesting because 6 years ago my both my parents thought I was just wasting my time, not actually pursuing the career that I was destined to. But now they are really really proud of what I'm doing. So it's the journey has been very very though it's a bumpy ride, but children always come and they add so much to what I'm doing. So children keep it going. So that is what I would tell all of uh, them, that when in doubt, reach out to a child. Because I think we sort of limit our thinking as we grow older, but children always have solutions for any problem at any point. So yeah, anytime I have a doubt, I reach out to a child. Anything I can
Wonderful.
add to what I am already doing, please share with me, so that I can do things better, because I feel every day I'm learning new things and there's so much happening around, and I would want to, do better every day.
Hari, as all of us are librarians, I want to say on everybody's behalf, and I say we are proud of you.
Thank you so
And
much, ma'am.
it's really lovely to meet you. And we look forward to carry forward our contact into great things, into many more things,
Yes.
right?
Today's when I was reading aloud, I felt I was the only one reading aloud. But generally, when we read aloud, we're all screaming most of the times. So
Oh,
today I could not hear the children, so it was a little monotonous. But otherwise, I'm laughing, screaming, not agreeing, disagreeing. So all that is happening during a read aloud session.
right.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank
do
you.
that soon.
Very much.
Yes, ma'am. Sure. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Usha, ma'am.
Oh, no, thank you. It was lovely. Don't lose contact
I
with the
can't.
children.
I can't believe that I'm actually sitting and talking to you. Beautiful words,
Lovely.
ma'am. Trust me.
Very, very
Usha ma'am,
interesting.
we are really privileged to have you amongst us.
Yeah.
A
Absolutely.
big thank you to you, million times thanks to you for coming over and
For
joining
inviting.
us.
And
Yes.
I was happy to come. I saw the mail just yesterday and I said I must come. Thank you. Bye
Thank you so
bye.
much, everyone. And it is
Bye.
exactly 6 o'clock.
One second.
Yep.
Thank you to Haripriya ma'am, and thank you Ushwa ma'am, and thanks to all those who gave your inputs. It was indeed an inspiring session. So now, as you all know, that every beginning has an end. So I request Arun sir to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, Nina. Let me thank first Haripriya for making everybody enjoy the session. And I think you also enjoyed the same.
Yes,
So
sir.
I think you will document whatever happened in the session. So and you will have fruitful future with everybody along with you. Okay, thank you very much for everybody for on a Saturday evening, though we have all of us have uh, school and then schedules. All of you joined for enjoying this session. Thank you very much. Thank you, Hari, once again.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye
sir.
bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.